Welcome to today's new family orientation session. Before we begin, we have a few important housekeeping notes to cover.
La traducción al español para esta sesión es proporcionada por Wordly, una herramienta de traducción en tiempo real. Para acceder a este contenido en español, haga clic en el icono del globo en la barra de herramientas del lado derecho de la pantalla y seleccione Español en la lista de opciones de traducción.
Today's session is being recorded. Recordings will be available approximately 3 hours after the session ends. You can find session recordings in your session schedule or in the on-demand page of the Hub. To ask questions during this session, click on the Q&A button in the panel to the right of your screen. We'll answer as many questions as we can, either during the session or at the end. You can submit questions anonymously. Please don't share any personal information in questions, as questions will be visible to all guests. If you see a question in the Q&A panel that you want to see answered, upvote it to let our team know. Lastly, we ask that you please join us in upholding and promoting UC San Diego's principles of community, and in keeping our community free from any and all forms of discrimination and harassment. Now let's get started with today's new family orientation session.
Hello, everyone. I am Bianca Portal-Truitt. I am one of the associate directors here in the Career Center on campus. Thank you so much for joining. We will get started now. I'm happy to share a little bit more about the Career Center at UC San Diego, some of the things that we can support students with, some of our offerings, and I will gladly answer questions at the end of the presentation. So with that, let's just go ahead and jump on into the next slide. So what is the Career Center? Believe it or not, there are students who will go sometimes way too long without learning actually what the Career Center is and this great resource and all of the offerings that we can provide them. So I'm excited that I get to share with you all a little bit about what we do so that hopefully students that you are connected with will learn early on about how much we can support them during their whole entire journey here. The Career Center at UC San Diego supports students in their professional development with resources, advice, and events to facilitate their transition to the workforce or academia. Next slide. So what does that look like? We know that planning your career can feel very complicated. And here at the Career Center, we want to do anything we can to help. So some things you or your student might be wondering about could include how can you determine which careers are related to the major that you've picked or that you're thinking about selecting, including majors that you maybe want to change into at any point throughout your college career. Where can you find those internships and jobs that are related to the majors? What can you include in your documents, like your resume, your cover letter? What are those things? What are ways that you can get in touch with the employers that you're interested in? And even this is not limited to only career industry focus. It can also speak to some of the grad school applications, and should you be thinking about graduate school or continuing education early on or later. So lots of ways that we can support you as a team. Next slide, please. So this is a picture of the UC San Diego Career Center. So if you are walking at campus at any point, you'll see that we are located right off of Library Walk in this big building. So hopefully you would stop by and visit us. You are welcome to come visit us anytime, Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4:30. And we have a whole team of advisors, and we are here to help all students. We sometimes have our specialties, but overall, you can walk in and speak to any of our advisors about any of the questions you have about our services. We provide info, knowledge, guidance, anything we can to help your students make informed decisions. Next slide, please. So you can get to know our team on the following slide. You'll see some of our photos as we move right along. Great. So we're divided into subgroups. I kind of alluded to this already, where we have a whole team here, and some of us have specialties where me, for example, I emphasize in supporting our engineering majors and students who are interested in engineering professions in adjacent majors. But we are broken into these sub-teams. One sub-team is the arts and humanities side of the majors and industries. The second sub-team is more of that STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math side of things. And the third is pre, post-grad, and pre-health, meaning any students who are already thinking ahead and knowing that they want to go to medical school or physical therapy school, speech therapy school, all of those pre-health types of majors, as well as any sort of other graduate programs. If they know right early on that they are going to go to grad school, we have some advisors who can support them in all the things that they need to do now to get prepped for that. Next slide, please. Now we'll kind of focus on how to make an appointment with us. So we'll move right along to the next slide. Handshake. So students will receive information right as they are getting closer to the school year about how to join Handshake. They already have access given their student login. They will have access to Handshake, which is such a wonderful resource. You can read a little bit more here about 5 reasons you need Handshake, but I will just kind of give a broad overview and say this is a kind of like a job board that is specific for university level students, early graduates, and it's going to have job board resources like career opportunities that folks can apply to, internship opportunities that folks can apply to, and also our events that get students in front of employers. So things like our career fairs, our information sessions. Additionally, we have professional development workshops that we host for groups of students who want to learn a little bit more about, say, salary negotiations or interview tactics, all those types of things. Those events would be on the events tab of Handshake. So already I've mentioned there's the job board where you can see what types of opportunities you can apply to. Then there's the events tab where you'll be able to see upcoming events that a student can join. There's also the option to make appointments with us, which is what kind of led me into this slide, where you can actually click through and see who are all the advisors that are available in the Career Center, those folks that I just showed you photos of a slide or two ago, and you can make those direct appointments with us. Next slide, please. So now we'll talk a little bit more about the resources and support that we can provide you as an advising team. Next slide. So I mentioned already that you can make an appointment with me or a teammate of mine directly. So this means we actually offer one-on-one career advising all 5 days of the week. There are different schedules for each of the advisors, but on any given day, you will have an opportunity to meet with one of our advisors all 5 days of the week. We work throughout summer as well. That's always worth mentioning for students. Sometimes they think that we close in the summer, but we are always here to support. Some of the things that we can support students with, creating or upgrading their resumes and cover letters, general career exploration for the students who are unsure about how they might use their major, or if they maybe even want to switch majors and are thinking about what are the career outlooks for those new majors that they're considering. LinkedIn these days is really just such a great tool and wealth of knowledge. And so for those students who are looking to create their very first LinkedIn or use it for networking purposes, we can definitely help them strategize how to use it effectively. Other things include interview preparation and mock interviews. So this means along the way, if students are wanting to generally brush up on their knowledge of how to interview well, we are always able to do that. Additionally, if they end up being offered an interview for an internship or a career opportunity that they are excited about, they can last minute make an appointment with us, and we can definitely prep them for a specific interview. So we love doing that and also hearing how they turned out. Salary negotiations. So we really want to follow the student through the whole life cycle of I'm initially thinking about applying for opportunities. How can I get my resources together, like my resume, my cover letter? Okay, now I'm interviewing for different opportunities. How can I interview well? Now I've received an opportunity offer, and I want to make sure that I am negotiating well, or that my salary is meeting market value, that it makes sense. Even things like analyzing if this job opportunity seems legitimate, etc. We really are here for the entire life cycle. And then lastly, we have planning graduate school, because like I said, for some folks, their career goals include continuing education, and better to start early on those things like gathering your recommendation letters or planning your statement of purpose. So always here to be able to help with all of those things. Next slide, please. So in addition to the one-on-one advising that you see kind of listed here as number 1, we have a lot of other things that our Career Center does. So grad school and career fairs. That's something that we like to offer both virtually and in person to students. I will say our big in-person fair, our biggest one, is always in the fall. So a later slide, I'll show you a little bit more about a timeline to keep in mind, but I do like to bring that up because fall really can feel like a time where students are just barely starting their classes, and then there's so much being thrown at them at once, including our biggest career fair. And that really is because it's in line with the recruitment cycle that a lot of the local companies are using. So we'll have our biggest in-person fair in the fall, but we'll continue to have different offerings throughout the year, including some professional development as listed in number 3. I mentioned we're always providing workshops led by either ourselves, or we have some student assistants called Career Peers who do a workshop series where you can come in person or log in virtually like we are today to learn a little bit more about those professional development topics, whether it is interviews, resume, negotiations, any of those types of things. Information sessions. So in addition to the large scale fairs that we frequently have information sessions, which are individual companies typically who are wanting to feature their different internship or new grad roles that they're hiring for. So again, Handshake will be the place for students to be aware of what info sessions are coming up, what career fairs are coming up. I will say things like the large career fairs, those dates are established pretty early on. So if a student were to log in early in the quarter, they would be able to see what large fairs or events are coming up this quarter. However, information sessions, we frequently have companies who are reaching out to us and in an ad hoc way and just saying, I want to host an information session about my company, and we might schedule it for them to happen, say, a few weeks from now. So for that reason, I always recommend that students be frequently checking that events tab on Handshake to see what information sessions and smaller scale events pop up all throughout the quarter and throughout the school year. On-campus interviewing, that's another one I would put in that same vein as the information sessions, where those can pop up kind of individually throughout the school year. So it's great to be able to keep up on when those are happening. A lot of times the on-campus interviews will coincide with, say, following up on connections made at the career fair. We're going to be coming to campus and doing some one-on-one interviews in the Career Center. Or following up on an information session that was held, we are going to invite some students to do that on-campus interviewing in the Career Center. So like I said, those can be happening throughout the entire year. Good to be aware for if they're happening. Sometimes they're invitation only, other times they're open to whomever wants to apply to be interviewed. And then we have some really great online resources that we like to make available for students so that even if they're not with us, if they're looking at things at 2 in the morning, they can always have access to the different offerings. We like to record a lot of our professional development workshops, put them up on our YouTube. We also have a lot of resources that we have partnerships with as a university. And so things that are paid platforms that, because they are University of California students, they're able to actually have access to these paid platforms. So it's definitely a benefit. We'll discuss those in a sec here. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, we have our career and internship fairs that are coming up throughout the whole school year, but I went ahead and mentioned the fall ones that we have. So we have our fall career fair on October 9th. That'll be in the large Lion Tree Arena here on campus. And so we typically have hundreds of employers who come to that event. I would definitely encourage any student to come and join. And I'll go ahead and get ahead of a question here and just say that it is okay and it's great to actually go if you are a first-year student, even if you're not thinking, I need my career, right away this year. It's so good to get that exposure, that experience early for how this process works, how the career fair is structured. It's also great to make those connections early on. I mentioned a little bit already about how wonderful LinkedIn is. I think it's so wise for any new students to attend these fairs, collect the business cards of the folks that they're meeting, save the names of some of the recruiters that they're chatting with, and then go add them on LinkedIn. So definitely encourage any student of all levels to go ahead and attend some of these fairs. Next slide, please. All right. So I think it's great for everyone, parents, families, students, to know a little bit about the timeline when it comes to internship and job recruitment, just because it's kind of unique. Fall tends to be the heavy recruitment season for jobs and internships that are going to begin in usually June. So around October and such, we're going to get a lot of industries, a lot of employers coming to campus, having their reps come to campus, and they're going to be talking about what summer internships are going to be happening next year, June 2026. They're going to be talking about what full-time opportunities are available for graduates who are graduating in June 2026. So a lot of them are structured to where they're kicking off the school year promoting, knowing that these opportunities are really not going to be happening until after the school year has ended. That's why we bring up all of these things kind of early on, and just it's good for students to be aware for the coming years. It's also heavy grad school application season, and so that's probably not as relevant to your students at this point, but just good to know. And then also what I think is really great for students who are newer to campus to be really getting involved in is student orgs. And some student orgs have actually their own application process to where they will start to market their student orgs by tabling on Library Walk at the start of the school year and recruiting folks to come join their student org. And especially for those that maybe are doing a project as part of their student organization tasks, they like to have the whole group of members determined at the start of the school year, so then they can assign roles and such. And so if students are interested in getting involved, and I would highly encourage it, this is a good time to be exploring some of those different orgs that they could plug into, that they could try out. It is fully okay to try several different organizations and figure out what actually suits a student. They don't have to do all of them. They don't have to stick with them. It's not a, it's not a huge commitment necessarily. Some of the different orgs have different commitment levels, but it's good to know that in the fall is when they'll be tabling and they'll kind of be out and about and hoping to recruit new members. Winter, spring, for some of those opportunities that were kind of first being advertised and recruiting for in the fall, they'll start to send out some interview requests, maybe make offers by the spring. And then I do like to remind though, new opportunities for internships and things like that, they'll continue to post throughout the whole school year. It's just that some of the larger programs kick things off in fall and are pretty busy on campus. So it's good to know about those early on, but okay to continue looking at what's been being posted in winter and spring. And then summer, I think, is always a great time for if they're not in an internship or doing some sort of other what we call experiential learning, so meaning the internships or shadowing or things like that, hands-on learning, then I would say finding other ways to increase their skills, like maybe doing personal projects or learning a new skill that they could add to their resume at the end of summer. That would be kind of a great way to just kind of maximize that summertime, in addition to, of course, hopefully some rest if they're not taking classes. And ultimately, that'll be the time to kind of add to the resume, get it polished up and ready for the next fall when it is, again, just kind of a more active season on campus. Next slide, please. Okay, so I mentioned we have some great partnerships that with being a UCSD student, you have access to Handshake, which I've already kind of talked quite a bit about. Parker Dewey is a organization, or excuse me, a company, I should say, that offers what we call micro internships. So it might be a 4-week project to support a company. So those are some great other opportunities for that experiential learning that I was referencing. What can I do with this major is a really great resource when students are kind of curious about what is the outlook for the major that I have selected or am thinking about selecting. We have I don't have to go through all of them, but Firsthand, Going Global, Big Interview, just some really great resources that the students can access. Most of these are actually linked through Handshake, so that first resource I talked about. So just another plug for having students get connected on Handshake and being able to see all of these resources that will be linked to the Career Center kind of icon on Handshake. Okay, next slide, please. So believe it or not, we actually already made it to the end, but I want to definitely leave ample time for answering questions. So let me go ahead and look at this Q&A right here. Please feel free to add your questions if you have them. Oh yeah, so someone said, can my student make an appointment with you for next week? Absolutely. Students are already welcome to make appointments with us, even if, if it's summer, if they haven't come to campus yet. We offer virtual appointments. So yes is the answer to that. And then are there summer internship opportunities for incoming sophomores? Yeah, so let's talk about that, kind of what level of student might be looking for an internship. So truly, any student is eligible for an internship. But at the same time, I will say internships tend to have kind of a preference for students once they have more classes completed before they've applied. So there absolutely is internships that will be open to students who are, let's say, finishing up their sophomore year in this case. Also, I should mention that summer internships are a lot more common than part-time school year internships. Understandably, most students wouldn't be able to take on a full-time internship while they're maintaining their class load. So it would be like a, let's say, 10 to 15 hour part-time internship that they would do during the school year if they took something like that on. Now, rather than that, most companies are going to prefer an intern who has more flexibility, more hours to contribute, which would be during the summer. And so that's why we kind of talk about that. And let's see here. We have what kinds of opportunities should first-year students be looking at? I really think that first-year students, one of the best ways that they can get plugged in and start kind of working toward their career is the student orgs. Because when it comes time to write that resume and they're saying, okay, what am I going to put on my resume that is relevant to the industry that I'm hoping to go into, a lot of what they can reference is how have they gotten involved on campus. And so that's why I would say, in addition to maybe kind of the fun social student orgs, you'll notice that there are kind of professional organizations that they can get plugged into. So I will use my emphasis in engineering as an example. In engineering, we have a couple of different kinds of organizations that students can get involved with, some being more of the project side of things, if they want to use their actual hands-on engineering skills to work on rockets or automobiles or submarines. We have all of those in student orgs that are focused on projects. Now, at the same time, we have professional affiliations, like we have Society for Women in Engineers, we have the MES Biomedical Engineering Society. Those are more like networking types where they're going to be getting together and discussing topics of their industry. They're going to be meeting with maybe different company representatives in their industry. So such great ways to get involved, whether it's more of the hands-on project side of things or even more of that professional networking. I would encourage first years to really try out some of those and see what suits them. Is the Career Center located on campus? Yes, we are. So we have a physical space that is right off of Library Walk. So if you're walking toward Geisel, you will see us on the left-hand side. You'll see the Career Center, and on the right-hand side, you'll see Target. So if you've been kind of in that area, you'll see Target's right here on the right, Career Center is kind of to your left, and as you're kind of, I guess, going just past Target, you'll see the Price Center and such. So hopefully that kind of gives you a general idea of where we are. Let's see. How can first-year students get internships or research in their first summer? So yeah, just kind of going back and reiterating that getting involved on campus like the student orgs is a great way. Also, just skill building, like I said, if they are learning some great things in the classroom, it's always nice to kind of couple that with what are you learning outside the classroom on your own? Maybe you're doing a personal project for personal interest. I don't say any of these things to overwhelm a student because there is plenty that they are taking on as, you know, as they're just getting to campus and such. But I do think it's just great for them to know that if you are able to find ways to get plugged into your industry or your major outside of your lectures, it's just awesome ways to build up your resume early on. And that way you'll be able to put things on your resume that are related to your industry and will make you a good candidate for those opportunities. Oh, does the Career Services Center help with research opportunities on campus as well? This is a really great question. So we absolutely can support our students with, let's say, creating their documents that they need to apply to research positions. We can also support them if they're wanting to let's say, write an email to their professor and request to be involved in the lab. Like, we can do all of those things, but there is actually the Undergraduate Research Hub, which would be another great place for them to get plugged into, where they can see all of the different research programs that are connected to the Undergraduate Research Hub. There's also something called the REAL portal, it's REAL, so I would write that down, the REAL portal, where they will be able to see different academic research opportunities that they can apply to. So yes, we can support them, but there are probably other areas and other programs on campus that could support them maybe even further. Let's see. Do you suggest first-year students start creating their resume and their LinkedIn profile? I do, yes, absolutely. You kind of want to have that, I guess, that bare bones version in order to add to it as you continue to increase your involvement, your skills, etc. So it's never too early to create your resume, to create your LinkedIn, and to start adding to it. That way, when you need it, perhaps you do want to join one of those project organizations. Sometimes they do ask you for your resume. And so at that point, you want to be ready for something like that, even if you're not kind of in the mindset of, I need to apply for an internship yet. There might be other reasons. Same goes for new scholarship opportunities, research like we talked about. There's just lots of reasons to have a resume ready to go. Okay, how many times can a first-year student get a one-on-one session with your Career Center? Yeah, good question. So students are actually welcome to meet with us repeatedly if they would like to. And so the one parameter I would say about that is they're only able to schedule in our Handshake system for one appointment at a time, if that makes sense. So if they have an appointment with me scheduled for tomorrow, then they can't at the same time schedule an appointment with me for next week. They have to complete tomorrow's appointment and then they're allowed to schedule for next week. So they're welcome to come meet with us repeatedly, and we hope that we can actually guide them through all of the different stages of the process, because meeting with us once, it would be hard for them to kind of accomplish everything in the 30-minute time slot that we have together. Better that we can kind of accomplish something great in that 30 minutes, send them away with some homework, next steps for them to kind of do on their own, and then we can reconnect with, say, when they say have like a second draft of their resume that we can review, or when they've written out their first cover letter and they want to connect and speak further about that. So good to kind of do it over several sessions when possible. Let's see here. Best way for students to make an appointment, it's go through Handshake. You'll want to navigate over to where it says Career Center, and then from that Career Center option, that's where it links to either appointments with us or resources, and that'll kind of feature some of those different partnered resources that I showed on a slide previously. Let's see. Okay, I think that we've answered pretty much all of these. I have some folks who are trying to register for the career fair. Looks like maybe career fair registration isn't open yet, but it will be. And I would say it's even going to be better as we get closer to the career fair, because we'll start to post the employers that have signed up for the career fair as well. So just keep an eye on it. If it's not letting you register yet, then it will. And if for some reason it doesn't by the time school starts, of course you can reach out to me or anyone else in the Career Center, but I have a feeling it's just because of it's still a little bit early on. So those are, I think, the main things. Let's see if there's anything else. Okay, some options, opportunities for freshmen to support themselves. Oh, okay. You know what? This is a great thing to mention. Sorry. Someone did ask, what are some options, opportunities that a freshman has to support themselves financially while studying that do not interfere much with their learning goals? I'm so glad you asked this, because this was a good reminder for me to mention that Handshake also allows you to use the filters to narrow it down and see on-campus jobs only. That is a great option for students who are looking to financially support themselves, but also have an environment that is flexible and understanding that they are a student, and that comes first. So absolutely use Handshake to narrow it down, find on-campus opportunities. They're going to be part-time, I would say, nearly all of the time, because of course they understand that this is a student. Yeah, I would use that. We do have a student employment office, but they're really more useful if you kind of have detailed questions about, I'm struggling with kind of accessing my work study funds or things like that. But really, I would say the resource that you would want to start with is Handshake, and kind of narrowing it down to see what part-time opportunities there are. So I'm glad you asked that. Let's see. For students who dorm and are interested in summer internships, would summer housing be available? Internships are hosted at different companies, and I would say that it's less common that those companies are going to support housing for student interns. It is sometimes available if you get an internship at some of those tech kind of Silicon Valley companies. They do sometimes have options for that, but less common, I would say. All right, so I think those are probably the majority of the questions for now. I don't know that we have anything else. So with that, I will go ahead and end my session here, but as mentioned, if you have any other questions, you and or your students can follow up with me. I'm happy to support. So, thank you.